Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. It begins with a recap of the 12 labors of the demigod Hercules and over 5 minutes of reused footage. On Mount Olympus, where Zeus maintains peace in the universe through his 7 thunderbolts, 3 resentful gods get helped by the big guy's own wife Hera in stealing the thunderbolts to create chaos on Earth. Meanwhile, a woman's dragged to a sacrificial altar sphere by a high priest who rants about the moon heading straight for us. Ilia has more immediate problems as a summoning of electricity takes the shape of the guardian Antaeus and turns her into jerky. Her friend Urania watches the execution and tells her sister Glaucia, who says the cliched line of "Why have the gods forsaken us?" Urania says that she'll go find help but leaves the horse and walks until morning, as I guess time isn't a priority. At a shrine she conjures up the 12-inch Clotho and Lachesis, who she just calls the little ones to avoid saying those names. They warn her that the moon is on a collision course with Earth, and with Zeus neutered, only Hercules has muscles big enough to save them.
Never!
The little people speak about how he divided continents, formed the constellations, cleaned some horses, and defeated King Minos. Urania gets tasked with finding him, but unfortunately Hercules is currently star signing in his most flattering of skin-colored loincloths. She prays to the Allfather to let him come out and play, but Herc must be grounded because even Athena's help is needed to convince him. Zeus flings his son down to the planet as pure energy and onto a poor horse that must struggle to carry all that weight. He's tasked with retrieving the 7 thunderbolts, each hidden within a monstrous guardian. Fortunately, they don't seem very hard to find. Sasquatch tries to kill Hercules for no apparent reason, but his legendary strength allows the demigod to impale it on a regular stick. It's enough to kill the violent hairball, who reveals the first thunderbolt, of which we have 7 of these suckers to collect. However, Hera and the other gods continue to discuss defeating the savior of mankind when Flora thinks of a cunning plan. They revisit Earth, where a simple God-fearing soldier assists them in exhuming Hercules' old rival Minos from his tomb. The once great king's just skeletal remains and needs the soldier's blood to return his life force in a rather gruesome display. Hera hangs his corpse upside down to drain him like livestock, while Zeus's loser brother Poseidon helps them. The king's happy to get revenge on the man that killed him, but it takes him 3 days to sail to Herc's location, while the gods all just wait around moaning. Aphrodite tells Poseidon to get him there faster, but Minos uses science to counter Fish Boy's power, as apparently that's something he can do. What they don't realize is that he uses this time to convene with the god of chaos Daedalus to double-cross the double-crossers. He's a man of science and wants to prove that magic sucks by using this enchanted sword that only has enough juice to slay a single god. He'll have to get through Hercules first, who comes across several slimy green swamp creatures impaled on spears. It's the handiwork of Glaucia, who begs for help as her sister has been captured by the slime people and prepared to be sacrificed. The rescue team must battle the Mediterranean mossbags, but they all go down easily to Herc's flashbang punches. They also just collapse under a 100-pound girl with a stick, but for story's sake let's say the 3 are forced to retreat into the nearby cave. The monsters aren't dumb enough to enter, and Hercules leads the sisters through the darkness by what he calls following the airflow. Once he's finished trying to sound smart, they meet the cave dweller Urania, who's surrounded by painted actors as they cost less than a real statue. Herc remarks that their eyes look so real before getting attacked by a couple of overexposed assassins, while the hag just wanders away. Once again, the demigod Hercules' ability to crush these things with his mighty strength is all undercut when the 2 dainty humans do the same. Realizing that Urania is a gorgon who can get any man rock solid by just looking at them, Herc sends the sisters away to protect them, presumably not knowing that women are immune to the creature. He takes the weapons of an extra with the easiest job of all these statues and does what his half-brother Perseus did in using a shield for a mirror. It allows him to see this grotesque low-effort top half without being turned into stone and detach it from its rather cool-looking scorpion body. Retrieving the 2nd thunderbolt, the trio must now cross through a haunted forest filled with hanging dolls that represent souls or something. The best line in the movie is when Hercules comments about how gloomy it is despite it being the middle of the damn day. The sisters are made to sit on their hands again, as we don't want the choreographing headache, and Herc goes wandering around looking for something to fight. Luckily, we have this bathrobe wearing white knight wielding a fluorescent light bulb that puts up more than a little challenge. He fires energy, but Herc uses the mystical tree of what range advantage and pops out with those ever-effective flashbang punches. He then lifts the knight onto a pointy tree branch, who will say weighed a ton to make this kill seem impressive. 3 thunderbolts down, the party continues until this time it's Urania who says wait here while she runs off alone. She finds another shrine to the little ones situated within this horrible clarity, and they explain how to defeat the fire monster Antaeus. On the bottom of the ocean at the sanctuary of Thetis is a weapon called the healing secret bomb of Nonacrol, which I wish was a typo. The little people give her 2 golden leaves, not enough for the sister, and say that it makes you grow gills and swim like a fish. It does none of that, and instead just brings Urania and Hercules to the underwater temple, where they enter like walking fish, I suppose. The maidens of Thehasta are 1/3 mermaid and project their thoughts into Hercules' mind that they also want to prevent the earth from blowing up. The healing secret balm of nostrils is just some special water that Hercules must drink, but when they return to the beach they find Glaucia missing. The high priest's soldiers have captured and tied her down to Antaeus' sacrificial ball where Hercules fights the monster with water-empowered hands. Urania rescues Glaucia and they admire the work of Herc as he punches the electricity so hard that it circles the earth and crashes into the sea. With Antaeus defeated, the fourth thunderbolt is revealed and the nervous immortals begin wondering where the hell's Minos. Flora descends to earth alone to scorn him like his disappointed manager, but he strikes her down with the god-killer weapon. Seems like a bit of a waste since it was only single use, so he returns to Daedalus and her crazy-looking codpiece asking for more help. She bestows upon him cunning and chaos, which sounds like she's calling him dumb but means that he can now shoot lasers from his eyes. He uses his new ability to destroy Aphrodite and Poseidon but spares Hera simply because she didn't run away. She warns Minos that her husband Zeus will defeat him, and it only took this traitor losing everyone in her life to learn that. Meanwhile, Hercules and Glaucia wait around in some ruin while Urania runs off again to go speak with the little people. Only this time does she drink a stale potion off some sinister altar and her consciousness sent to a different plane of existence. The little ones reveal that Urania is the final Horcrux and will need to die if Hercules is to retrieve the Thunderbolt and destroy Volder Minos. During this time, some ambushing Amazons easily capture Glaucia while Herc just batters them around like another day on the job. They just so happen to have a special net that can capture demigods and take him back to their lair that's fashioned like a giant spider. The Amazonian Queen Arachne gets left alone with her prey, but her web has zero adhesive properties, so Herc's able to escape. He just strangles the spider woman to death easy enough before she turns real ugly and reveals her body contains the fifth thunderbolt. The next one you would think is the hardest to acquire when told that it takes traversing through space to reach it floating among the stars. But they just walk through the galaxy and Urania does a little saucy dance when poof there it is returned to Zeus's collection. Suddenly Glaucia betrays them as she's an agent of Minos who reveals himself all dramatically, but Herc's just like, oh, this guy again. The real sister was killed by Poseidon and replaced with this duplicate on the beach while Urania and Herc were collecting the mermaid juice. She's ordered to destroy herself by Minos, who has no further use for it and unleashes his new chaos power to defeat Hercules. Seeing his abilities, Zeus knows that chaos is behind it and has regained enough strength to hit Daedalus in the face with a giant glowy skull. When Hercules recovers, he's given a shield by Athena and sent to battle King Minos and the stars. Hurling all kinds of energy his way, Herc blocks it with the shield, so Minos conjures up a couple of cartoon drawings since we ran over budget. Athena returns, having forgotten to give Hercules a sword to fight before he turns into a doodle himself and takes on the illustrations. Once he destroys the soldiers, Minos also animates himself and fights Hercules before transforming into a large T-Rex. Herc counters by becoming a gorilla and the two clash among the stars until Minos becomes a snake and strangles him. The hero just tosses Minos into the cosmos, which is apparently all it takes to destroy the evil sorcerer and end his reign of terror. Urania then reveals that she's also a daughter of Hera and has decided to sacrifice her life so that Zeus can retrieve the Thunderbolt. She does this by receiving the kiss of death, but even with all the thunderbolts the world is still in danger with the moon hurling towards it. Zeus transfers his powers to Hercules to grow as big as a planet, allowing him to use his bare hands to prevent the earth and moon from colliding. He returns them to their correct locations as Zeus turns his stepdaughter Urania into a constellation right alongside Hercules. And the movie ends.